Have you ever reached the end of a day and just realized you have absolutely no idea where the time went? Like your hours just blurred into this haze of automatic routines, mindless scrolling, and automated reactions. You didn't consciously decide to do most of it, it just happened. Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today we're exploring the profound, completely invisible trap of our own unconscious minds. Pulling from the behavioral science of James Clear, we are going to look at exactly how we fall into this autopilot living and the psychological tools we can use to finally wake up. Let's start with a story that sounds like magic, but is actually entirely rooted in science. Picture this. It's a completely normal family gathering. A woman who has spent years working as a paramedic arrives, takes one look at her father-in-law, and says, "I don't like the way you look." Now, he feels perfectly fine and actually jokes back with her, but she insists he goes to the hospital immediately. And it's a good thing she did. Just hours later, he's undergoing life-saving surgery for a major artery blockage. Without her stepping in, he absolutely would have died. So what exactly did she see? There were no obvious signs at all. The answer to that actually lies in the hidden biology of human intuition. See, when major arteries are obstructed, the body goes straight into survival mode, and it pulls blood away from the skin to protect critical organs. This creates a highly subtle change in the pattern of blood distribution in a person's face. After years of working with heart failure patients, this paramedic had unknowingly trained her brain to recognize this exact pattern. She couldn't even articulate what she was seeing in the moment, but her unconscious mind knew instantly that something was deeply wrong. And this isn't just an isolated phenomenon. Military analysts can look at a radar screen and instantly distinguish an enemy missile from a friendly plane. Museum curators can sense a brilliant counterfeit masterpiece without knowing exactly which detail tipped them off. They make these expert, incredibly high-stakes calls entirely on autopilot. So how is our brain even capable of this? Section 1. The brain's prediction machine. To understand the paramedic and the curator, we have to look at how our minds actually process the world around us. Fundamentally, your brain is a prediction machine. It continuously takes in your surroundings, sorting through literally unimaginable amounts of detail. Whenever you experience something repeatedly, your brain highlights the relevant cues and catalogs them for later. With enough practice, you pick up on the cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it at all. It just becomes second nature. We vastly underestimate how much our bodies handle off-screen. Think about it. You don't have to consciously command your hair to grow, your heart to pump, or your stomach to digest. You are so much more than your conscious self. You don't need to see a cookie to realize it's time to eat. Your body tracks internal chemicals until suddenly you just feel hungry. And this reveals a really profound truth about human behavior. You do not need to be aware of a cue for a habit to begin. You can notice an opportunity and take action without dedicating a single conscious thought to it. The urge just feels like it comes out of thin air. Now, this efficiency is incredible for survival, but it is a massive double-edged sword. Section 2. The danger of autopilot. When our lives become completely automated, this neurological superpower actually turns into a trap. We slip into patterns way before we realize what's happening. Take the retail clerk who was instructed to cut up empty gift cards and then casually took a customer's completely valid credit card and snipped it completely in half, entirely on autopilot. Or the former preschool teacher who started working a corporate job and instinctively kept asking her adult coworkers if they had washed their hands after using the bathroom. This is the exact dilemma we face today with our own routines. Over time, the cues that spark our daily habits become completely invisible to us. The phone buzzing in your pocket, the open tab on your browser, the notification ping. Our responses are so deeply encoded that the urge to check the screen feels completely unprompted. We just fall down an hour-long rabbit hole, having entirely stopped questioning what we're doing or why we're even doing it. Which brings us to a really powerful truth captured by psychologist Carl Jung. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." If a habit remains mindless, you literally cannot improve it. You'll waste your day online or skip the gym and just chalk it up to, well, that's just how my day went. To change anything, we have to drag these invisible behaviors right out into the light. Section 3. Pointing and calling. So how do we snap out of the trance? Well, we can actually look to the Japanese railway system. If you ride a train in Tokyo, you'll notice conductors have this really peculiar ritual. When they approach a signal, they physically point at it and call out, "Signal is green." Pulling into a station, they literally point at the speedometer and state the exact speed out loud. On the platform, staff point along the edge and declare, "All clear." Every single detail is identified, pointed at, and named aloud. It's known as pointing and calling. And to an outsider, yeah, it looks a bit silly. But the results are absolutely undeniable. This simple system reduces errors by up to 85% and cuts accidents by 30%. Even New York City's subway adopted a modified version of this, and incidents of incorrectly parked trains fell by over half. It's a real game changer. So why does this work so incredibly well? Because it completely forces the brain out of a passive, automatic state. By requiring the operator to use their eyes, hands, mouth, and ears all at once, it raises awareness from a non-conscious habit to a highly conscious action. You can't just space out and assume this time will be exactly like the 1,000 times before. You anchor yourself in the present reality of your action. Section 4. The Habits Scorecard. We need a pointing and calling system for our own lives to stop bad habits from silently sneaking up on us. And that is where the Habits Scorecard comes in. It's a super simple exercise. You just make a chronological list of your daily habits. Wake up, check your phone, take a shower, brush your teeth. Once you have a full list, look at each behavior and intuitively ask yourself, is this a good habit, a bad habit, or a neutral habit? Then just mark it with a plus, a minus, or an equal sign. Now, the tricky part here is defining what actually makes a habit good or bad. The truth is, all habits serve you in some way in the moment, which is exactly why you repeat them. But you must categorize them by their net outcome over time. Eating a heavy bagel every morning might be a bad habit for someone trying to lose weight, but a great habit for an athlete trying to bulk up. It depends entirely on your specific situation and your long-term goals. If you're struggling to rate a particular habit, use this guiding question. Does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Does it cast a vote for or against my desired identity? Habits that reinforce the identity you want are good. Habits that conflict with it are bad. It's a simple question, but it cuts right through all those little rationalizations we tell ourselves every day. Section 5. Becoming the Observer. As you fill out this scorecard, you might feel a heavy wave of guilt looking at your daily routines. We all do. But here is the absolutely vital philosophical shift you need to make. You do not need to change anything at first. The singular goal right now is just to notice what is actually going on. No judgment, no internal criticism. If you find yourself wasting an hour on social media, just acknowledge it, as if you were watching a total stranger. Say to yourself, "Oh, how interesting that they would do that." Just objectively notice if you are spending your life in a way you do not want to. To really break the trance, try applying pointing and calling to your own life. Speak the action you are about to take and the outcome it's going to have entirely out loud. If you notice yourself reaching for your phone when you really should be studying, literally say, "I am about to open Instagram and it will cause me to lose my focus and stress me out later." Hearing your bad habits spoken aloud makes the consequences incredibly visceral. It adds this heavy friction, stopping you from mindlessly slipping into the void. You cannot fix something you cannot see. Strategies like the habit scorecard and pointing and calling, they aren't about pursuing perfection. They are purely about forcing yourself to recognize the invisible cues that trigger your autopilot loop. Only when you see the track clearly does it become possible to step off of it and actively choose a different path. We spend so much of our existence drifting on the currents of our own non-conscious mind. But the simple act of noticing, of calling out your actions, and becoming the objective observer of your own life is the ultimate circuit breaker. Because before you can build the life you want, you have to wake up and see the life you are actually living. So I'll leave you with this. What is one invisible habit controlling your day that you are going to point at and call out tomorrow? Drop the judgment, just watch yourself. The clarity you find might just change everything.